Welcome to the Everything After podcast. I'm Rob, and my guest this week is Kevin Bang, a folk alt singer-songwriter currently based in the Boulder, Colorado area, who is working on a solo project, but who some listeners of this podcast might remember from a band called World in a Room, which was based in Northeast Ohio, released a couple of albums, and played hundreds of shows over a 4-year run in the mid-90s. Thanks for being on the show, Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely, Rob. Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, very cool. I'm so glad we crossed paths. I did a little bit of a dive into some of your musical background and your history, and I got a lot of questions for you. But why don't we start by talking about World in a Room a little bit? Was that your? I know you've been in a couple of different bands, but was that one of your first bands?
That was my first band after college. So I had a cover band that had some originals in college at Miami University, a band called Ex Deco. And then a couple years after college, one of my college buddies and I, Tim Brennan, got together with my brother, Jason Smith, and one of his high school classmates, Don Lissy. And we got World in a Room together in '93. Tim and I had played another project, actually with a guy named Chuck Mossbrook, who a lot of folks will recognize. So we played with Chuck a little bit. Back in the early '90s, there was a great coffee house open mic scene in Cleveland. Arabica and the Barking Spider was another great venue for acoustic original music. And so World in a Room's kind of born in that East Side Cleveland scene in the early '90s.
Yeah, and you've got a Grog Shop T-shirt on, which we talked about just before we went into the studio for this. But I think that's awesome. Also, of course, a Cleveland live music venue that a lot of people will have some fun.
Yeah, it was a great time for local music. There was a radio station, 107.9 FM, The End, that had a local radio show. So there were a lot of great bands in Northeast Ohio that got their start then, and it was in the day we had these. I don't know if you remember, they're called compact discs that people would sell and put their music on, and it was sort of like this permanence. Like once you got it on that disc, there was no changing it, and so it was a fun time. The analog times of trying to get your band out there and hit the road, and a lot of college towns, and so it was a great time.
Yeah. So why did you stop with that band?
Oh boy, why does any band stop? Just kind of a number of us were doing it sort of along with having a day job, and it just kind of got to the point where it got pretty tough to balance everything out, and so we kind of went our separate directions and continued on into different musical projects. But certainly had really enjoyed that, and then even had a little fun with it a couple years ago because it was kind of rediscovered by a label that does what's becoming more well known called vintage music. So when you find music that was recorded 30, 40 years ago and try to place it in TV and movies.
Oh, wow.
So they actually bought the rights to the album Mood Circus that was released in 1996, and have been working to try to get that out into the world, if you will, via that mode.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Any idea what sort of shows or films they might be circling for that music?
Probably based on the type of music it was. It probably have to be a little bit dark, but
moody.
A little moody.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. What's a movie that you've seen recently that you think would be a fit for something off of Mood Circus?
Wow, that's a really good question. A movie that I've seen recently. I cannot think of one off the top of my head that would fit that. But
I'd go with there's a really good movie I'm going to recommend if you haven't seen it. It's called Weapons.
Okay.
Sort of a horror movie, supernatural, kind of spooky, very good for the season that we're in. But I could see that. I can see that working there. It's got like a lot of moody sort of stuff, atmosphere in it. I think it's something like that could work.
Yeah, certainly. My kids kind of got a kick out of it.
Yeah.
And they're pretty good at supporting dad's efforts. They're both in college, but they both have T-shirts that they'll wear around from some of our old gigs and stuff. So it's kind of fun. It's been fun to sort of bring that back.
Yeah, that's awesome. And now you've have there been a couple attempts too, just to, or just one-offs when you've gotten back together with the guys that you were in the band with, gotten back with the World and Room guys,
yeah,
and
we did. We played
some
reunion
shows.
show in in '09 at the Grog Shop. So
Yeah,
that was fun.
was that meant to be a one-off, or were you at the time were you thinking about like doing something, maybe picking it up a little more permanently?
One of the things we learned in World of Room is just take it a day at a time.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it ended up being a one-off.
Yeah. Have you, has there ever been any talk of like new music coming out from that group?
No, nothing so far. Tim Brennan has done a number of projects and solo projects. So you can find Tim Brennan on Spotify, the bass player, and Jason Smith has also had some projects. One called That Poor Girl, another called Monaco. So everybody's kind of had some projects, and we've all been sort of mutually supportive of that, since then.
Yeah. So, World and Room, I mean, some of the musical inspiration for that group, like the Smiths, Depeche Mode, REM, U2, you've got a little bit of a different thing going on now that you're working on your solo project. Can you talk a little bit about what happened after World and Room, like what you've been doing, and like what came after that, and what's led to the project you're on now?
Sure. I would say day job and family.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, 20 years goes by. But, in between, we had Jason and I had another project called 5 Minutes Fast, which was great. We put out a CD, played mostly locally. So that was in the late 90s. And then on into the 2000s, played with some guys out of our church, and kind of did a kind of like a contemporary Christian rock thing where we released an EP. And so that was a lot of fun, and kind of played in worship bands for a number of years.
Yeah.
And just have had, I'm grateful that I've been able to, play guitar, sing in a lot of different venues with a lot of different people and sort of types of people. And when I say types, I mean types of musicians, and have played with some just outstanding musicians and learned a lot from a lot of different people. So, I'm definitely grateful for that. And, I reached a point in my career where I kind of moved away from that. I was in the employee benefits space as a consultant for about 35 years. And I had an opportunity to move a little bit away from that, and then also move to a new place. So we moved to the Boulder, Colorado area. And ever since then, I've just kind of taken an approach to follow the breadcrumbs. So, we're very active in our CrossFit community out here in Colorado. And via that community, I ended up meeting a producer engineer, Jared Guadarrama out here, who has a couple bands and has a studio. And so he and I started doing some studio work together. And then I've also met a guy that I'm kind of playing some open mics with, doing some cover songs. So it's been fun to sort of embrace a new community and sort of, take a look at, and you and I communicated a little bit. I sort of like your theme of, everything after. And so for me, it's sort of like everything after this, that sort of this business career is now putting time in on the creative side, and just, trying to enjoy it. I over the years became, quite a perfectionist on the music scene. So, trying to balance out perfection with enjoying what's going on.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's great. I think it's awesome that you found this channel, this podcast, because I think what you're doing is exactly what we're trying to promote here. And it's just, a lot of it is a lot of it's discovery or rediscovery, reinvention. It's pivoting, like, finding a way to stay creative, to keep things sort of jiving and grooving, and just sort of keep, that part of ourselves like alive, that makes everything worth it, I guess.
I totally agree. And I think we're in such an interesting time for so many, many reasons. And relative to creatives, we have this ability to do things that we could never do. So what Jared and I do in that studio with a program called Logic Pro and all of the technology, like, it would have blown, 1994 Kevin's mind. Like,
yeah, right.
what, in terms of what you can do in the studio and all of the things you can tweak in that oil painting that you're trying to create. And so that's really cool. And it's really cool that, you can release your music on these platforms like Spotify. And then, it gets played 400 times or something like that. Where there's, so it's like this interesting paradox where you have the ability to get it out there. And then it's a matter of, like, how many people does it actually reach? And
Yeah.
I think that the ability to get it out there is the most important thing, because it helps more people be creative. And then it's a matter of just, what happens out there. And I think that, even if you can reach a few people and it makes a little bit of a difference in how they think about things, or if you can connect somehow about something you felt and it mirrors what they've felt, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, as you talked about, life happens, things happen. Sometimes it gets in the way of something we thought, we were going to be dedicated to for all our lives. And, we kind of have to put that on the shelf sometimes for a little bit. I'm just curious if you talk a little bit about why music has always been so important to you, and why it's still a part of your life, and why you sort of strive to keep it part of your life, why you put in the effort to keep it alive.
That's a great question. I think for me, I always wanted to return to some kind of creative outlet. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it came down to either writing or music. And I decided to kind of go in the direction of music because I love playing live. I love the interaction with people. And I just decided that I wanted to kind of go in that direction. That's sort of the first part of it. And then just really, even over the years, listening to bands, going to see performances, just always having, just something I love about a great song and how it makes you feel. And how, I was talking to somebody about this the other day, like, you can have a song that you've listened to for 15 years and an event can happen in your life that intersects with that song. And all of a sudden that song then owns the event and vice versa.
Absolutely.
And so there's just like this wonderful magic about that.
Yeah.
And so it's fun to try to, like, create your own piece of that for yourself, but then also if other people can relate to it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Totally agree with that. Now, I hope this doesn't get too personal, but I noticed on your Instagram profile as well that you're a cancer survivor, your dad, your husband, co-founder of something called Emotional Relief Fund. I wonder if you talk a little bit about that.
Sure. I did go through a cancer journey, including chemotherapy in 2014, and just grateful to move through that and to get to the other side, and at this point, everything seems to be fine. And then also sort of witnessing firsthand just how difficult it has been to be a teenager in the late teens, early 20s of this century that we're in right now, especially with the pandemic. And so, our family kind of experiencing mental health up close and personal. And so my wife and I, as we kind of went through a mental health journey with our daughter, we got to the other side of that. She's doing amazingly well as an artist and everything at school. And we just saw how significant the financial impact was of getting treatment for somebody that you love and care about. And so we decided to try to find an organization to support, and really couldn't find one. And so we started Emotional Relief Fund to provide financial assistance to the families of teens and young adults who need mental health therapy, but for whatever reason can't afford it. And so we kind of coordinate evaluating their financial situation, and then also connecting them with a therapist, and trying to get them over that financial hurdle so at least they can receive the therapy.
Yeah, Kevin, that's amazing. That's incredible. Thank you for doing that, for that work. That's so important. That's such important work. And I think it's great to see as much attention being paid lately to mental health, particularly in the younger generations. I think there's a big focus on that, and a big focus on, sort of destigmatizing needing help for that as well, which I think is incredible. And we talk about mental health here a lot too, because I think music and mental health go hand in hand. I mean, music helps me with a lot of mental health stuff, and I wonder if there's been some music that sort of helps you through some of the struggles that you've gone through your cancer journey, and through some of the mental health journey that you've experienced with your daughter.
That's a great question. I think I kind of get back to, some various songs that you kind of go to. I mean, I'm a big U2 fan, so there's a lot of, I think you develop, especially for the bands, the artists that you listen to in your younger life. And for me, that was U2 and Bruce Springsteen, just all the time. And so you develop sort of like this comfort level that those songs can take you back to a place that maybe was simpler, in terms of the commitments that you had, and some of the things that you were struggling with. And then it's just, it's cool to experience a song. So I'm going to give you a reference point. There's a song called California by OAR. And it's a song about his kids kind of coming of age and going to college and stuff like that. And it really kind of hit me as my kids were going to school. So it's just cool to, again, be able to connect with somebody that you don't know who wrote that song, and and be able to have it help you better understand what you're going through, and by virtue of learning how he handled it. So it was pretty cool. Yeah,
very cool. That's amazing. So we started talking about it a little bit. Your musical influences: Springsteen, U2. You want to talk about some others that have really had an impact on your life, or an impact on your sound or your style?
Sure. I'm kind of a sucker for, a melody, and oftentimes like big anthemic melodies. So, things like, 30 Seconds to Mars and One Republic, and, and a lot of, the U2 in Excess, REM, a lot of that kind of stuff. I really like a lot. Recently, Lumineers, Avett Brothers, some of those guys that kind of take the folk song and blend it and do some cool things with melodies, stuff like that. I like a lot.
Yeah. This might be a good place for us to run through your top 5 albums that you listed out for me. You wanted to talk a little about each one? Go one by one here?
Sure. U2 Joshua Tree, it just, I kind of started to follow them in the mid 80s, and Joshua Tree was just very, very different. They changed producers, and they really took a different approach to that. And it was just a really cool album. It's kind of like for me, a desert island album. And it's interesting, especially as you get on in years, you can kind of see the whole perspective of how some of your favorite bands evolved. And I think U2 has evolved into this bizarre place where, like, you've got some people that absolutely love them, and some are like, wow, that's really like just so run of the mill that you would like Joshua Tree, right? Whereas back in the early 80s, nobody really knew who they were, but I'm sticking by it. And then Springsteen Born to Run was just, again, it just intersected with like high school, like working a maintenance job and just
Yeah.
playing that cassette tape like over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I think I also put on that list the Alarm Strength. So Alarm was just a really awesome band in the 80s, who was always kind of sidekicks to U2 and stuff, and never really got a ton of, I think, respect that they deserve. And Mike Peters sadly passed away, and kind of got really sick right before they were going to do an American tour and come back to Cleveland a couple years ago. So Strength is a great album. And then I think I also put on there This Is War by 30 Seconds to Mars. And again, like certain bands achieve a level, like Jared Leto's achieved a pretty, atmospheric level of popularity, but the guy can sing and they can write songs. And so, that one too. And I forgot what the fifth one was that I put on that list, but
The Ocean Blue.
Oh yeah. So Ocean Blue is just they're just wonderful songs, and it was a bunch of teenagers from like middle of nowhere, PA, that put out that album. Probably supported by a bunch of friends and family financially, and so it's just a cool music story, and I really like the songs on there.
Yeah. Are you excited about this Springsteen movie that's coming out?
I am, because I was also a big sucker for Nebraska. I'm pretty sure that Nebraska was the other side of the Born to Run cassette for me. And I just always loved that album. And I know a little bit of the story, and it'll be interesting to see how they represent it. But it was a time where, the record companies had so much control over what an artist released and how they released it. And Springsteen just, he defied them and was just like, this is what I want to do. Like, this is part of my evolution. It's almost, it'll be interesting to compare that with A Complete Unknown.
The Dylan movie. Yeah.
Saw that sort of, that Dylan moment where was he going to plug in, at Newport or not, and so it's just really interesting, because you have that moment where, an artist has been elevated to that level by their audience and by the record labels to be able to have that platform. And then they have this difficult decision to make, because all of those people that have been supporting them say, you have to do this. And then they say, I'm going to move forward. And that's pretty cool.
So let's talk about what you got going on now. So you're writing some music, you're writing some new music, you're doing a solo project, you've got a song that you're about to release, a single, and I think you're going to let us hear a little bit of it, or all of it, hopefully, in a minute. But let's talk about that. Like, where did this come from? Like, what's the inspiration for it? What's the motivation?
Yeah, I would say part of the inspiration was years of, when I had 15 or 30 minutes sitting down and putting some ideas into voice memos, and then just, scrolling back through those voice memos and trying to pick the ones I liked and build them out a little bit. And then the song that I'm gonna play and release first, I ended up in the midst of like 5 or 6 other songs that I was playing for my wife Kate and daughter Alaire. Happened to play this song called Anna Tells Me, that was actually wrote like in my apartment in college a really long time ago, and I brought it to the singer of that band in college, and he tweaked it a little bit, and so I pulled it back out, and I played kind of the skeleton for them, and my daughter's like, yeah, like you need to keep building that out. And so, I added a couple things to it, like a bridge and another verse, and then just decided, like I played a few songs for Jared, the producer I'm working with, and we kind of landed on that one to work on first. And I decided that I wanted to kind of do it full band. So actually, when we played it back, 35 years ago, it was just an acoustic song. It was just me and Bill, the singer. And so I decided to add bass and electric guitar and keyboard, all of which I played. And then we kind of built the drums in Logic Pro, and so had some fun with it. And, and kind of have been working to sort of perfect that model of a song, to say, okay, well, we did this song this way. And then the thing that we're kind of both thinking of is, okay, the next song, let's try to do it a different way. Let's not just do, a different name song with different lyrics and chords, but the same model. Do it with maybe some different instrumentation and things like that. And I think that's part of the freedom. I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, there's a scary element of, wow, there's a big world of, I think the number is, there's 10,000 new songs on Spotify.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
In a way, you're like, it's daunting because you're like, how am I ever going to get heard? But in a way, it's liberating because it's like, who cares about whether, like, Anna Tells Me sounds a certain way, and then song B you do as a dance tune, right? Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Like, I'm 58 years old. I'm writing songs like nobody is looking forward to hearing them. Right? So part of that is liberate. Like you, and by the same token, I think you have to deal with what your reality is, right?
Yeah.
That's my reality, and I'm going to choose to just embrace it and have some fun with it, and just
I think that's a great way to look at it. I think you got to do it for yourself first. Absolutely. Is there a story behind this song? Like, is there an Anna? Who's Anna to you?
So there was a person who inspired it, and it was somebody that I met in college and had a kind of very short interaction with, who just really, I could tell, was hurting a lot, and sort of it that created kind of the impetus to write the song about somebody that was clearly in pain, and if I continued a relationship with that person, like that would be part of my role would be to try to figure out how to defray that or help fix that, and as the song has kind of evolved, I guess for me, it's sort of opened my eyes to, maybe other longer term, deeper relationships that were similar, where you can end up occupying a role in that relationship that you're always the one that's trying to compensate and trying to fix and help that person get right. And either you're going to embrace that or you're not. And it's, we talked earlier about like deep topics. That's a pretty deep topic, right?
Yeah.
That can sometimes define someone's identity if they are in a relationship with somebody that takes a lot.
Right.
And so, there are plenty of ways to love somebody through that. So the song kind of ended up being a statement to say, this is what this relationship looks like. And again, back to the thing of how do people identify with that? If that can help somebody either identify that, yes, they're in a relationship like that they don't want to be, or maybe acknowledge that that's just how that relationship's going to be. So.
Well, man, this has been really cool talking to you and getting to know you. And I really appreciate you taking the time to tell us all about your music and what you got going on. And I'd love it if you'd play Anna Tells Me for us. While you're getting set up there, I always like to ask people about their instruments. Is there anything you want to tell us about your guitar?
Yes. Let me just, pretty much in tune. It actually is something I got pretty recently. I always love to find a guitar guy, and I found a guitar guy out here at a place called the Guitar Hut in Lafayette, Colorado. And so I needed a different wanted. Sometimes those are interchangeable with probably cameras and musical instruments, right?
Yeah.
And so found a Yamaha I really like, and so been playing that for a few weeks.
Awesome. Yeah. Now you also you have a keyboard behind you, right? Too. Do you play other instruments?
I do. I play piano a little bit, and then I also play some bass for laying down bass parts.
Awesome. All right.
Anna tells me where she is. Anna tells me what she needs. She tells me what she holds inside her heart, what she tries to be. Anna tells me who she loves. Anna tells me why she hates. She tells me what she's lost and hopes to find, what I can't replace. Oh yeah, those eyes like diamonds shine every time she breaks down. And I lie. I tell her it's all right every time she breaks down. Anna tells me what he does when he cuts her to the bone, when she's drowned in her future and her past. He leaves her on her own, all alone. Those eyes like diamonds shine every time she breaks down. And I lie. I tell her it's all right every time she breaks down. The cycle is on repeat. Oh, but I don't care, 'cause I never will retreat from this pain we share. Where she is, what she needs. Anna tells me what she's lost and hopes to find, what I'll never be. Not me. Those eyes like diamonds shine every time she breaks down. And I lie. I tell her it's all right every time she breaks down. And I lie. I tell her it's all right every time she breaks down.
Thank you, Kevin, man. That sounded really good.
You're welcome.
Great song.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. So tell me, are you you're going to be releasing that as a single soon, I think, right? Or is it out?
It's not out yet. So hopefully next couple, 3 months.
Yeah. You'll get in the studio and record that. And where should people look for it?
So we're like down to the short strokes of the recording. So it's like almost done. And then once it's released, I'm looking to get it out to like all the digital platforms, Spotify and Apple Music and Amazon and all of those.
Yeah. You expect some other songs to follow shortly after? Or are you working on a few other things too?
Once we get this to the point that it's like done and mastered, then we'll start working on some other stuff. So I pretty much, go to the studio a couple times a week and we just kind of keep working towards getting some other songs recorded.
Very cool, man. And do you have some, are you performing anywhere coming up that you want to promote?
Just kind of doing some open mics here and there.
Hmm.
So, nothing official in terms of gigs.
Yeah. You have any plans for that? Any thoughts about like getting out on the road with any of that or?
Definitely want to get out, locally in the
Mhm.
probably Boulder, Denver area. The key is just figuring out in what format. Like, do I want to
Yeah.
go out and do it myself? Do I want to try to get some people to play with? And so just kind of haven't gotten to that point of figuring all that stuff out.
Yeah. What's the big, we always ask people to sort of manifest when they're on the show. What's the big dream for this new music that you've got? Like touring with someone specific, is if you could get it out on the road with someone in particular that you think you'd vibe with, or like what's just the big hope here? Putting out a record.
I would say assembling enough songs, like kind of my right now is the crafting of these songs. Like the crafting and recording of these songs. Having we talked about the nonprofit a little bit, so I'm working on that,
Hmm.
and continuing to have that affect people positively. And so with my time that I have for music, kind of the priority is the crafting and the recording of the songs, and then from there determining, because I really do enjoy playing out, but trying to find time to, okay, what is that going to look like? Is it going to
Yeah.
look like pre-recording tracks and playing along with it, just me, or finding other players to play with? So it's that has yet to be decided.
Yeah, well, man, I think that's all awesome. I wish you the best of luck with everything, and it's a great song. I hope we can help to get it out there and help people listen to
Thanks,
it.
Rob. I really appreciate it.
I think a lot of
And I
people
appreciate
connect
what
with
you're doing, man. Your work is really special. It's great. I've always loved photography. Like when I go to museums, like art museums, like I just get stuck in the photography wing.
it. Oh,
And so I just really appreciate, what you're doing, and the fact that you're doing this and trying to help other artists. I think it's great.
well, thank you, man. I really appreciate that. And maybe we can do this again sometime. You get some other music out, let me know. I'd love to have you back to talk about it some more.
Cool. Sounds good, man.
Awesome.
This is Kevin Bang, and I'm writing songs and recording some songs. And my Everything After is basically what I'm doing now. So creating music to reach other people and finding purpose in that music, because purpose is like oxygen and creative purpose is like supercharged oxygen. So this is me just kind of with my oxygen mask on, trying to connect with folks, because maybe some of the things that I share are things that they've felt, and it can help to validate those feelings, and they can appreciate the songs.
Hey, this is Scott Paris. I want to do a quick shout out for Everything After podcast. These guys got it all. They're talking about everything: movies, books, life, especially music. That's what I'm into. I'm a musician. I was on one of the episodes talking about my book, a guitar called Harry V and the Cover Band Conundrum. We talked about the life of Val Kilmer and his works. We talked about a bunch of things. I hope to be on again soon. You guys are going to love it. Please check out Everything After podcast, photography. They do it all. Rock and roll. I'm at Put-in-Bay Island. Maybe we'll talk about life on an island on Everything After. I said I was going to give this up, but I wouldn't, and I can't, and I won't. And you shouldn't give up on Everything After podcast. Check them out wherever you listen to your favorite podcast.